The crisis in Syria is top of mind in Washington tonight as President Obama considers military action. Dr. John Miglietta, who specializes in international politics over at Tennessee State University, is here now. Professor Miglietta, Syria is threatening retaliation if the U.S. strikes. How can the U.S. balance its global responsibility with the very real possibility of some serious repercussions?
Well, I think what the U.S. needs to understand is that it has to be very measured when it uses its military. And the president has speaking about today not using U.S. troops, using essentially cruise missiles, and I'm not sure exactly how effective that would be, both from a military or a political standpoint, and also from a moral standpoint. A lot of people are just very concerned about the U.S. getting involved in civil wars in other countries.
All right, so Britain has said they are not on board. The parliament voted that down there. Germany probably wouldn't join in either. Tell us, how should that weigh into the United States' decision on intervention?
Well, I think that's very critical because without any support, I just don't think the U.S. would really have much of an international leg to stand on. And as your report indicated earlier, the UN is not going to go along, in part because Russia is a close ally of Syria and they have a veto power in the Security Council. And again, it may, in my own personal opinion, it may not be a bad thing because I'm just very reticent about the U.S. getting further entangled militarily.
1,400 people dead, 400 children in what's believed to be this chemical attack. President Obama has called the Syrian attack a challenge to the world. Well, what effect would inaction on the part of the U.S. have on this escalating situation? Well,
I mean, there are other actions besides military actions. There's certainly diplomatic action. There's establishing sanctions on Syria, and there's actually a way of also trying to negotiate an end to the use of chemical weapons in general, which unfortunately the international community has not been successful in doing.
The president says that he hasn't made a final decision yet. What do you think he will ultimately do?
It looks like it's moving towards some kind of a limited strike. The UN weapons inspectors are supposed to leave tomorrow. So it looks like the U.S. is positioning itself to do something. It seems that the administration has kind of painted themselves in a corner, and I really think we should think before we act.
So we have these Navy warships poised.
Yeah.
What would limited action look like for people at home wondering, are we going into another war and could we get bogged down in this? What would limited action
Well,
look
again,
like?
limited action depends on your perspective. For the U.S., it would mean probably firing Tomahawk cruise missiles, which can be extremely destructive if you're going to attack government installations, intelligence facilities. They tend to be located in populated areas. There'll be a lot of damage to and deaths of civilians.
A lot to think about there. Professor Miglietta with us tonight from TSU. You'll also be back with us in 30 minutes at 9:45. We'll pick your brain even more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Barack?